everyone knows when I say crypto, I kind of really mean Bitcoin. Those of you who know me and Jason, although I can't speak for you, Jason, you know I only buy Bitcoin.
Correct.
I did buy a little Ethereum one time.
I YOLO'd some Shiba.
Oh, you did you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, but that was just you fooling around, right? Not real money.
No,
right.
not real money.
But I mean, your thoughts on allocation of Bitcoin in your own portfolio?
I mean, Greg Foss says just own more than zero, right? That was his message.
I like Greg's message. Greg's actually says, if you earn $1, take 5 cents and put it in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right? So if you get it really logically down to like a science and say, I'm going to have 5% of my assets in Bitcoin, it's a lot easier to stomach, right?
Here's the thing. If you look at the global exahash rate, so just to give you guys a little bit of information, so if you go to like coinwars.com, you can look at the global hash rate, how many machines are actually turned on in the Bitcoin mining space. Right now, currently on my screen, I show 202 exahash. Currently, it's very volatile, but if we look at the 1-year chart, you're going to see where there was some problems in Kazakhstan, mainland China. I mean, just 1 year ago, Todd, July 21, you had 81 exahash on board.
I am focused on harvesting. We have been planting crops for years. I'm focused on getting yield out of the investments we already have. I went home that night and said to her, I'm going to put Bitcoin in for all of our kids. I'm so into this. I'm such a believer. And so I not only drink Bitcoin, I got Bitcoin coins. They're just like for fun, but I'm so all in. We're in the racing team's involved in Bitcoin now because with Ed Carpenter. We're mining like crazy. Is going to be volatile, but you got Bitcoin at 41,279. And Greg, what I was hoping to achieve, but I got to give a disclaimer first before you answer any questions. For full disclosure, I'm the executive chairman and founder of BitNile, and BitNile Inc., a subsidiary, has ordered 20,600 miners from Bitmain. We have a facility in Michigan. We are presently mining. I think we've presently taken delivery on 4,700 miners with another 2,300 coming this month. And by the end of September, we expect to have all 20,600 or so installed, plus or minus, subject to delivery schedules and stuff like that, supply chain, copper stuff. But we are hoping to be in the top 10 of all miners in the United States and North America. There's some bigger players than us, obviously. And we're thrilled to be part of it. We own ERNIE. So there's full disclosure, everybody. I am completely biased to Bitcoin. We mine it.
Bitcoin is the solution to the fiat Ponzi. Many listeners may have heard that they're concerned that Bitcoin is a Ponzi. No. Bitcoin is the real deal. It is monetary energy, and the Ponzi is fiat or paper money. Protect yourself and your family accordingly.
Bitcoin remains around 45, 46,000, 47,000. We lowered our obviously estimates because difficulty went up, and we're taking a number the miners that we have for the S9s and offline. We're focusing on S19J Pros and S19 XPs. Obviously, a logical conclusion, much more efficient in production in terms of 100 terahash, 140 terahash versus 13.5 terahash. So it isn't, when people understand that argument you made of total assets in terms of investment universe, and then I went back and looked at some of the statistics about how many millionaires there are in the world versus how many own Bitcoin. There's not even one Bitcoin for every millionaire. I mean, it's the idea that this asset class is going to get bigger. How do people approach it? I'm a person, let's say I'm making 75 grand. What do I do?
Right. So everybody's in the same boat, Todd, in that this is my sort of crutch statement, if you will. If you own 0 Bitcoin, regardless on a percentage basis, regardless of the size of your net worth, if you own 0% Bitcoin in your portfolio, you are actually taking more risk than if you have a proper portfolio allocation. Now, that definition of proper portfolio allocation starts with something greater than 0. So a famous line, a tagline is get off 0. And my first advice to anyone who owns 0 Bitcoin as a percent of their portfolio, move yourself up to the 5% level. Get to 5%. And here's the kicker. When I get people who have never owned Bitcoin before up to a 5% level, it's like they forget the other 95% that they own. And they're singularly focused on Bitcoin. And I say to them, hey, do you check the price of your house every day, for example? And most people should say no. And treat Bitcoin the same way. Both are hard assets. Both are assets that will appreciate in value as the fiat currency debasement occurs. So I hate to break it to people, but their house hasn't really gone up in value. What it has gone up is measured against a unit of account called a US dollar that depreciates over time because the government prints so many of them. It takes more of those same dollars or more of those dollars to buy your same house. It appears that you've made money on your house. In reality, what's happened is the unit of account is debased and it takes more of those dollars.
We agree. We agree. We agree.
The bank account is getting debased along with the currency. So they're the ones that are getting hurt the most. So in an environment where you print money to solve problems, it actually increases the problems in our society. And Bitcoin solves this because, as you've mentioned, it's scarce. There's only 21 million Bitcoins defended by math and code for the whole world to share forever and ever.
The idea of putting net worth behind it, I guess people nowadays, like at least the last couple months, have been saying, well, Bitcoin looks like it's tied to the NASDAQ a little bit. But I've actually seen arguments that if you just get off the short term and you look at it actually has been hedging inflation over like a 5 or 7 year period. So everybody keeps looking at this microcosm, like this like narrow focus.
High time preference, narrow focus quarter, first quarter, second quarter. So yes, you're right. In a high time preference, which means a short period, Bitcoin has been tied to the NASDAQ.
I'm not allowed to comment. I've learned the hard way. My lawyers have basically said, shut your mouth. So if those of you who do not, I've been on Wall Street for 33 years, a credit default swap. What Greg is saying is amazing. He's basically saying if there's a basket of fiat, the credit default swap to that is Bitcoin. That is a thesis that I guess I should have known already. I guess I should have known that.
Can I add, Todd, I've calculated the intrinsic value of Bitcoin using the credit default swap rates on sovereign nations, including the United States, which people are paying insurance against the United States defaulting. And interesting, you would say, why would anyone ever buy insurance on the USA defaulting? And I could say things like, well, they already have. In 1971, it was effectively a default when the US went off the gold standard. But everything being equal, even the United States, which in my opinion is the most solid fiat out there, it will be the last fiat to fail. There are people paying a small insurance premium to insure themselves against default of the United States over a 5-year period. These are open market rates that you can monitor on a daily basis. And using that basket, I've calculated an intrinsic value of Bitcoin using open market rates and live credit default swap pricing on the respective sovereign nations. And it's pretty cool because it just shows you how darn cheap Bitcoin is at $40,000 of insurance, of a premium.
Yeah.
Volatility tends to shoot through the roof, doesn't it? If you look at equity vol as that measuring or that metric, Bitcoin has shown, in my opinion, times when the equity markets were puking and their Bitcoin gets a bid. Now, it's a bit of a battle between the computers or the machines at one hedge fund that believes it should trade as a long volatility asset versus other hedge funds that believe it should trade as a short volatility asset, which means a risk off. When the NASDAQ pukes, Bitcoin should puke in lockstep. I promise you over time, the long volatility thesis will win once people do more research on what Bitcoin is.
Hey, it takes guts or stupidity, right, Jason? Which one am I, guts or stupidity or both?
There will be a tidal wave of interest in Bitcoin. It will dampen the volatility, but it may shoot the price up so high because people will be selling things like bonds. Bonds are getting decimated. This is the first time in 30 years that bonds have been down as much as they have in the last 3 months. And that's purely because interest rates couldn't go any lower in the US. And now inflation expectations are kicking in. And your bond portfolio, which used to be your insurance policy, is not an insurance policy anymore. It's actually a liability. And assets or money will flow out of that asset class, in my opinion, into the digital asset space with a focus on Bitcoin.
Nah, whatever. I don't know what I think about that.
Option, and we are still so early. It's incredible to think where we are compared to the amount of money that needs to get exposure to Bitcoin.
Do you care about any of the other cryptocurrencies? When you look at them, do you care about
Yes,
Ethereum?
I care. I care because I think, and I need to be careful, I believe Bitcoin is the only digital asset that solves the fiat Ponzi. And that's my biggest concern out there, Todd, is solving the fiat Ponzi.
It is a credit default swap on the world's fiat currency. I just, I know what that means. I know what credit default swaps were during the mortgage crisis of 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
It's almost, to me now, it's impossible for you not to have Bitcoin exposure. We're doing that at Nile. I mean, the reality for me is that this is a long bet for us to mine Bitcoin and to use that in really amazing ways like layer 3.
1,885 miners deployed.
Actually mining.
What's our
Can
market?
be more annoying.
About 60 dBs. What's our market cap?
All of it leads to Bitcoin. And therefore, Bitcoin is the only thing that solves the fiat Ponzi. Now, taking it one step more, do I believe in the value of smart contracts and a blockchain like Ethereum? Yes, I believe in the value of a smart contract. No, I don't believe Ethereum is the perfect blockchain to do it, because Ethereum still maintains a level of centralization, centralized control. Bitcoin is totally decentralized. So I'm going to throw this argument out there to you, and I'm going to get hate mail from the ETH heads. That's fine. I think that any token that survives on Ethereum will ultimately gravitate to the Bitcoin layer 3 solution, because they won't get rug pulled by a change of proof of work, for example, to proof of stake and gas fees and all of that stuff. But that's only my view. I'm not telling you not to own Ethereum. I am just telling you that Bitcoin is the only thing that solves the fiat Ponzi, and that's what I am most concerned with.
I'm very comfortable with the future. Now, Bitcoin is scary right now. It's at 43,000. It could fall lower. Mm-hmm. But this is the nature of something disruptive. It's very, very complicated. It has little stops and starts, but we're very committed to Bitcoin, to DeFi, and to that data center we're building. That's not just Bitcoin, but enterprise and cloud solutions there, including co-location stuff. So,
TeraWolf. Hey, look at Any. Well, obviously Any announced they were going through the merger with Griffin, but Any's $1.50. I mean, you got TeraWolf. I mean, TeraWolf is $3.45. I mean, these charts are just abysmal. I mean, it's been that way, like you mentioned on the regular show, since February of 21. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the trend continues. It's going to get worse, in my opinion. You guys better buckle up, because I just see the dollar staying strong, crypto having volatility, and the overall market's just getting punished.
I mean, there's some exciting things going on with Bitcoin. I mean, actually some super exciting things, even with the market crushed. You know, I'm sure both of you know Fidelity actually announced they're going to allow people to put Bitcoin into their 401k now, which is rad. And, you know, nobody probably knows this. It's only out an hour ago. Fort Worth, Texas is actually going to mine Bitcoin and mining rigs in their city hall.
In their city hall? Why?
Just because they want to be the first city to officially mine Bitcoin.
Simply jealous. I'm like, what the hell? And then I was thinking to myself, how do you have a Bitcoin car when it's decentralized? Like, who made the decision? I'm going to sponsor a Bitcoin.
You know, I mean, you know me, I'm always bullish on Bitcoin. I know that it's got volatility, but again, I'll say to everybody, if you watch, you know, not, this isn't advice, but if you watch the trends of Bitcoin, this is trending the way Bitcoin has for, well, since its inception. As it rises, you know, next year, is 2023 with the halving in 2024. Bitcoin's probably going to do a steady rise next year. It's going to go higher towards the end of this year, and then 2023, it's going to go like a rocket, and we'll see where it goes.
The Fed has to raise rates 50 basis points in the next adjustment, I believe, and people are already baking that into the cake. Inflation is not going to stop. You're seeing, here's another thing we don't really talk about, disposable incomes being destroyed. Anyone with Robinhood or Wall Street Bets type retail investor, they have less to invest. More is going towards food, everyday expenses, energy, rent, mortgages. There's just less liquidity in the markets, Todd, and that includes Bitcoin. That's my thought. We're not really talking about that, but that's definitely one key factor.
That 10-for-1 reverse split, and then you're down $8. It's really yikes.
These are opportunity times where people can grow their portfolios, grow their wealth, their base of freedom, if you will. You know, money can, fiat can lead to freedom, but Bitcoin is real freedom, and silver and gold are real freedom, but those are just my opinions.
Turkey, a lot of countries, obviously Greece, a lot of these countries. In fact, El Salvador was using the dollar. They switched to Bitcoin. They don't even have a currency, to my knowledge. So we're seeing a strength in the dollar, sell off in Bitcoin. There was supposed to be Bitcoin. Everyone was supposed to take their Bitcoin off the exchanges and lock them up on January 5th, I believe. Nothing happened there. They're trying to limit the amount of coins on the exchanges so there couldn't be as much selling pressure. We didn't see that. Bitcoin right now, 41,600, Ethereum, 3,200. So,
oh my God. Is there an elephant in the room?
Delta 99.9. It's like, but I bought the dip. Any lower, and I'm going to be in China. I mean, how much further can they dig?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I unfortunately, after 32 years of doing this or more, stocks can go higher than you ever thought possible and lower than you ever thought imaginable. But the interesting thing here is that they do have stock options. I think that's a really interesting development for them because that implies that the marketplace believes they're going to trade. The marketplace believes there's going to be an opportunity to be part of something in terms of hedging and value creation and providing the market tools to do that. I actually think that's a great sign because I'm feeling the pressure of the fact that the stock is down. And I equate it to, well, the businesses aren't down. And while the price of Bitcoin has fallen, we've done some things like we own our own data center. We have power relationships. So we can mine Bitcoin much lower than ever before and still be profitable. So that's why those people out there that wonder why I have a sense of calmness, I've been through a lot of market cycles. This is a strange market cycle. And so one thing you're going to hear from me is we're going to continue to mine Bitcoin. That's the business we're in. That's the business of now. And Ault Alliance, hopefully, when it's spun off, will be in the business of legacy EBITDA businesses that are paid in fiat.
1 minute you like me, the next minute I'm the reason the stock's down.
But one thing I can pledge to you for sure is we did a lot of work around getting the Michigan data center. We did a lot of work with the team. And we are committed to mining Bitcoin. We have spent $166+ million on buying miners, might I say, by the way, that are trading at a big premium to where we pay. We have spent money on our data center and our relationship with our power provider. We've done things differently this time. We're committed to it. You're not going to hear us bailing out.
I think there's a lot of opportunity there for the actual coin. I believe, and this is going to really rub people the wrong way, I believe it's a great store of wealth. If you can get your hands on Bitcoin, then and a significant amount, it's really it's going to last the test of time. I mean, 2150 is the last Bitcoin being mined, so or is it 2140? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I think that to me is. And that the fact that there is that it is capped at 21 million. I think there's a lot of pieces to the Bitcoin protocol that only add value to it as a resource. So I think that if it's used as the trust layer and the trust currency and, Bitcoin backed, I think that that there's a lot of value in that. These means of communication and very sped up means of communication now, everybody's thinking that it should be instantaneous because that's how we get our internet these days. It's instant, but trust is not instant, so we need time. And a lot of people ask me, why do you trust Bitcoin so much? And I trust it because it's backed by code. And for me, code is in some way law, and it will be in the future. So just like a signature is law or has become law over 200 years, or before we had the chop, in China they still have the chop. They have the seal of approval. For a long time, if you didn't have wax as a seal of approval, then you didn't have the chop and you didn't have the authority. So now, we've evolved and we have a signature, and now, and that was the authority. And now, moving forward, now we have code. And so I truly believe that code is law and Bitcoin is backed by code, and therefore it's a store of value and something we can trust.
Bitcoin 41,749. Did dip below 40,000 today to 39,651. Skyla, give us the joke of the day, because obviously Bitcoin, in my opinion, being down here deserves a joke.
All right. What do you call a guy with no arms and no legs in a hot tub?
What?
Bob.
Oh, Jesus. Another dad joke.
In none of these 4-year cycles that Bitcoin has had, whether or not you believe the four-year cycle is dead or will continue, you've never seen a dip that undercut the previous cycle's all-time high. So if that trend continues, using 20,000 as a real floor base case right now, there's some merit and credibility. Then there's a lot of other arguments. I don't buy into a lot of the technical stuff on Bitcoin because it all changes very quickly. Bitcoin is still only 12 years old, 13 years old. So the metrics are still sort of being sussed out. Part of the reason why I actually like old school Japanese candlesticking techniques when I look at Bitcoin's chart, because it's all rooted in human psychology, and you're literally witnessing human psychology in real time right now. I actually will also make this statement because at some point we should discuss it. I actually am in the minority. I do not think Do Kwon, I do not think Luna buying or selling 80,000 Bitcoin, total Bitcoin, not $80,000 worth, had any net effect in either the price going up or the price going down. I genuinely believe that was noise. And I believe what we're really witnessing is Bitcoin being traded as a risk-on asset by big money managers who are not in the public markets. So you're not going to see CNBC, CNN, Fox talk about the fact that this random money manager out of Colorado that has a fund worth $10 million is actually allocating 0.5% to 1% of his portfolio, and shedding that 0.5% comes out to sometimes $500,000, maybe $100,000 sometimes. So So with those type of movements, that's why you're seeing this correlation with the NASDAQ. It actually makes for trading right now in a weird way very easy, because you can set expectations that the NASDAQ will follow Bitcoin, and those NASDAQ puts have been treating me nicely right now.
Things just like we work around the price of Bitcoin, which today is 29,366, 29,400 or so.
Obviously, Joe, Crypto Joe's in there. Joe, I bet you're happy to see Bitcoin getting back to 44,000. It's like right on the cusp, right?
Yeah, I'm super happy, especially since resistance at 45. I think we're going to beat it.
Yeah, you know, it is a little nerve-wracking when you've spent, $160 million on miners, $167 million on miners and installation and stuff like that. It gets a little scary. Jason, but you were never worried, Jason, huh?
Well, I can't really say I wasn't worried but I do know this. We made a good acquisition at a fair market price. Let's just say that.
What are your thoughts with what's happening with Bitcoin itself? I wondered if you have any comments on that, specifically about what's happening in the Bitcoin market.
If we're talking about the price, so it is hovering. It's just hovering at that key psychological level. It's right at like 29. This has been tested multiple times throughout 2021. And if you look at the technicals specifically, I mean, it is a double top chart pattern. It could drop lower, but if you're asking about the long term, I'm a Bitcoin believer. I'm buying the dip. And I have, in fact, set my buy limit orders at the next key psychological levels in case the support doesn't hold. So I'm aiming, I would be very happy if I could buy more Bitcoin at 22K, 17K, and 11K.
Wow. Whew. That'd be painful.
That will be harsh to watch. I know. It's like I'm going to be sweating and I'm going to be buying.
You won't be sweating as much as Michael Saylor, I'll tell you that. Wow.
Yeah, if you're Michael Saylor, well, hey, if you're Todd Ault, I guess you'll be sweating though too.
Well,
you?
hey, and we
only put 180 million in miners and infrastructure, and we're mining Bitcoin. And of course, we know we're going to mine in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
Do we actually know?
I think we have an idea.
Where is Bitcoin right now?
Bitcoin's probably around 41,625 in, it's priced in fiat currency, the USD.
And this show is powered by Bitcoin.
But I buy what I feel in long term it has more value. And to me, Bitcoin, first of all, has more value because of the supply and demand thing that we all know. And also, for me, being from Iran and understanding that the government can take control of your money, like Bitcoin for me is more than just an asset, is like also like real diversification against the governments and everybody else as well. So
yeah, non-correlated.
It appears to be down $31,000 since I went to Dubai
in November.
Now, I know the people who out there who don't like me think I control the price of Bitcoin. Okay, let's work on that. Hold on. Go higher. Okay, it should start going higher because I control the price of Bitcoin, right? That's satire. For those people who, that's not, for disclosure purposes, I don't actually control the price of Bitcoin. But I do control the fact that we bought 20,600 miners and then we underwrote them to $10,000. So believe it or not, if you read the press releases, we still make money here.
But then, of course, the actual Bitcoin, there comes a point where you just want to make a decision to buy the actual Bitcoin, and maybe some companies will just start buying the Bitcoin and put it on their balance sheet. So there's a threshold there where you have to decide.
Well, that's kind of what MicroStrategy's done, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, right. But MicroStrategies, do they have a rainy day fund? I mean, they issued bonds. I mean, what do they have left in the tank to take advantage of these, what we think to be fair, undervalued prices?
Well, if you follow what Kiana says, that this thing goes down to 22,000, or Menard said, what did he say? 8,000?
Yeah. What's Saylor's average? Do we know?
I think it's in the 30s, isn't it?
Okay, it's in the 30s. So if Kiana thinks that the what were your three targets? I'm sorry.
My lowest is 11, so it's 22, 17, and 11.
Okay,
oh,
so
God.
if
Kiana, holy
if
shit.
It's
President,
a little bit above the actual support level, but that's just because sometimes it doesn't get there. So I can see the 8,000 and I can understand why they chose 8,000, but sometimes it doesn't actually get there. So that's why I've set my buy limit order already at 11.
So you're going to see a lot of sharp money move in my opinion, though. If it does reach those targets, my gosh, there will be some loading at 11K. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
It'll be ridiculous.
I know, people will be freaking out. I mean,
yeah.
It's funny how people love it on the way up and they want to get in line to buy it, and on the way down.
Well, the dumb money.
I mean, do you remember 3,000 when it was 2019, when it was at 3,000?
Yeah.
Like nobody was talking about Bitcoin.
Thanks for watching. Risk on, everybody.